Wow! Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue. Wow, you are so many people here. I'm very glad to welcome you for the second day of the X Days. We are a wonderful team here. We have a wonderful number of people, of speakers to talk about blockchain, crypto, and Web3. And we are very glad to welcome you here in Paris. Paris, the new capital of Web3. I am Fabien Aufrechter, Vice President of Web3, in charge of Web3 within Vivendi. You may know Vivendi, one of the biggest conglomerates in France and even in Europe, about entertainment. We are very glad to be very actually in advance when it comes to blockchain and crypto, working on these matters from already 5 years. 5 years for corporates is pretty long. And we are also very glad to have not only engineers, because we have more than 1,000 engineers in our group, but also strategist consultants and also people doing communication and marketing. This allows us to work with the biggest and the best player of the industry for already 5 years, and not only in France and in Europe, but also worldwide. We are in more than 15 countries in the 5th continent. Today, what I wanted to tell you is 2 things. First, we are very glad to have you on board because actually Elrond, Metaversics now, is actually not just for startups. It's not just a niche. It's something coming for corporates. It's something going global, and you know it because actually you're already working on it. We are working on it. Aside, I have another cap. You know, sometimes you have several caps. I'm not just VP for Vivendi, I'm also very glad to be mayor in France, mayor of a city named Verneuil-sur-Seine. And I would like to tell you something, to tell you a story. Actually, the first time I met Benjamin Minku, it was in my city hall. You know why? Because he was interested about something. He was interested about one of my projects. I have a very interesting issue in my city. My city is going to have a new train by probably 2-3 years. And actually, we have an obligation to create a new part, let's say, not a new city, but a new area within the city from scratch. And this is something really new. It's urbanism, but it's even bigger than that. You need to think about mobility, about water, about electricity, about smart city, basically. And he told me something. He told me, wow, I'm interested because actually, urbanism and all these mobilities is something which is not just for elected people, not just for mayors. It's also something that is going to be coming within new worlds, especially in the metaverse. Because in the metaverse, you need to have designing new cities, designing new ecosystems, designing new worlds. And actually, this parallel gave me several ideas. In my city for sure, but also for our clients and even for us in Vivendi. Because we believe in Vivendi, being the leader in entertainment in Europe, that we are well placed to be tomorrow the motor, the leader of the European metaverse, that Emmanuel Macron, the French government, but also the European institutions are pushing pretty hard. I believe this is very early stage to actually define what will be tomorrow the real metaverse. Will there be just one? Will there be several? I guess you already have an idea since we are already speaking about multiverses. But actually, what I want to conclude with is that today is very early stage, and you are the pioneer. But actually, this is like internet, but 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times faster. And things are going so quickly that you'll be amazed today and tomorrow and sooner, the next week, the next months is about what's going on, not only in Elrond, in metaverses, but actually also in all our industry. Because actually you are this industry. You are what is going to be tomorrow. But actually, we can't build without support. And this support needs to be not only from industries, but also from the political point of view. And that's why I'm pretty glad to have the 2 caps. And yesterday, you remember, we were very glad to have the French Minister Jean-Noël Barrot on stage explaining you how he's going to support, especially in Paris and in France. But actually today, we are more than glad more than glad to be able to welcome on stage Sebastian Bădujar, Romanian Minister of Research, Innovation and Digitalization. Please welcome, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you all, and thank you, Benny, for making this happen, and the entire amazing Elrond team. I want to share with you that I'm incredibly proud. As a minister from Romania, I'm a very blessed man, because every single day I deal with people who are extremely smart, generally good-looking, and certainly changing the world. Romania has a reputation for amazing minds in IT. We have some of the best people in AI, and machine learning, and blockchain, and artificial intelligence, and all the things that are here to stay. And I think there's no wonder that Elrond was born in Romania, and now Multiverse X. And as the Romanian minister, it brings me great joy and pride to see that a little part of Romania is conquering Paris and really the world. I've met Benny a few years ago as we were thinking about how to regulate blockchain to essentially achieve what the Holy Grail is. You get the innovation, but you also want to get security, safety. You want to protect those who are perhaps uninformed, but really leverage that progress. And he immediately struck me as somebody who has both the vision and the will to change the world. And coming here today, I was reminded of another great Romanian, though the French claim he is French. He was born in Romania, and he spent the latter part of his life in France. You may have heard he's possibly the greatest sculptor of all times, Constantin Brâncuș. Now, you may also know that he actually walked from Romania to Paris and accomplished many of his dreams here. And one thing that he did say, one of his most famous quotes, is that it's one thing to see far, it's another thing to walk far. And he actually walked far. But Benny and many of you are both visionaries. You dream big, but you're also willing to put in the hard work and do the things that are needed to change the world. And I think that's what sets this amazing company apart. It's not just having a vision for how to change the world, it's putting in the hard work and the responsibility that comes with it. I'm proud to say that the Romanian government is extremely supportive of new technologies. I did an event just yesterday with the Prime Minister. He came out and he said, the digital transformation of this country is priority zero. And it is, and it should be for every nation in the world that wants to be competitive, that wants to lead, and that is lucky enough to have Benny and his team and Elrond and now Multiverse X. And hopefully all of you, because if you haven't come to Romania, you need to come. I promise you a very good time. I think the future is about a few things. One of them is freedom. I'm an economist by training. I'm guessing the applause was not about me being an economist. But I do think the future is about freedom. And centuries of economic thought lead to one conclusion, that if you want to have growth, then you need to enable people to have the freedom to do the things that few other people in the world know how to do. Maybe nobody else. It's called innovation. And so I think the new technologies and companies like this, companies like the ones that you're all building, I'm sure, enable people to have freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom of action, to have the freedom to have control over their data. All those things, I think, are needed in the new world. But there's one more thing that comes with freedom. It also comes with great power, which is responsibility. I think you all have been blessed to be at the forefront of amazing changes in the world. And we all know this, the pace of change in the world is absolutely astonishing. It's never been faster. If you just look back to the 80s, when this place came out and digitized the French stock market, and it was a huge thing. Well, think about what else has happened since the 80s. It's a different world. It's an absolutely different world. But the changes you bring also come with a huge deal of responsibility. Because they say, to whom much is given, much will be required. And so you've been given the gifts of a vision, the gifts of knowledge, the gifts of having skills, the gift of bringing people together, such as at this wonderful event. But all that won't mean much at the end of the day until you live with a sense of responsibility. Sorry to get personal, but life has put me in a few very tough situations. And in that great despair, I realized by reading a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and if you haven't read it, I do recommend it. It's written by a survivor of the Holocaust, went through 4 concentration camps, lost everything, his entire family, his entire fortune, and somehow he still made it. And the big realization that Viktor Frankl had was that essentially life is not about what happens to you, but about what you do and how you live with purpose. That is the responsibility that I think you all have, more than anybody else, because you understand the new world. You're the ones building it. Where will you take it? What are the ethical boundaries of what you do? How are you going to ensure that we have both freedom and security? These are the questions of our times. I think they're the toughest questions of our times. And certainly, based on your work, the world of our children, I have 3 at home, so, I care about how their world will look like. Almost all of them are better at technology than I am, though they're 4, 2, and 0. And truly, what you do will matter. What you do will matter. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for putting in the work, the vision, and this sense of responsibility that I keep coming back to. At the end of the day, we all have one life, at least in this universe. Maybe in the metaverse, I don't know. But on that last day of our lives, we will all probably look back. That's what they say you do. On that last moment, you put your head on the pillow for the last time. And the question, the toughest question for each of us is, did we leave behind a better world? Did our life matter? Well, I think what you've done already, many of you, suggests that it has mattered and that it will matter. But please, keep changing the world. Keep leading with responsibility, with a sense of purpose, and build this world of tomorrow. You have in me and the government of Romania the full support you need. And I am pleased to note that throughout this event, you've had many supporters of your vision, of your ideas, of your dreams. Please carry on. And one last thing. but it's important. Please do not shy away from the mission to educate decision makers. Many of my peers in politics are, afraid or ashamed to admit that they don't understand these new technologies. And it has to come from you. Pull us aside and say, hey, man, we live in a different world. What are you talking about? How come you don't know this? Here's how it works. This is what you got to do. Because a lot of the support that you need and that the world needs to become a better place ultimately has to come from some of these decision makers. Yes, we're decentralizing power, that's a good thing, but still government has a role to play. So please own this mission to educate us, to inform us, and gradually we will all join in this wonderful revolution of progress. Thank you all, and good luck.
Well, good morning, guys. I hope you're having the best possible morning. My name is Victor. I'm a product manager at the Ledger blockchain team. And today, I have some amazing subjects to share with you. First, we'll deep dive into what Ledger exactly is and what we do at Ledger. Then, I'll introduce you to what's our strategy when it comes to integrating new blockchains and new features to our software. I'll also talk about, of course, our great partnership with the Elrond team and what were the outcomes of such a partnership. And finally, the part I'm most excited about is telling you what's coming to Ledger Live very soon for the Elrond protocol. So let's jump right into this and start with the big question of what is Ledger? Well, the easy answer would be to just quote this beautiful slide and tell you that Ledger is today considered the #1 platform when it comes to securing any digital assets. In practice, what it means is that at Ledger, we build both a software solution and a hardware solution that works hand in hand to provide users with the best possible experience in the crypto space, but also the highest standard in terms of security. So first, the hardware part. Our Ledger hardware wallets, the Nanos. I guess a lot of you guys already own Nanos, but let me give you a bit of a reminder of what it does and what it is. At Ledger, we have a motto that states, "It's your money, own it." Well, with the Nanos, you can do just that. It allows you to safely and securely store your keys fully offline on your Nano, and they are fully secured by our homemade certified chip, the best security on the market. On Nanos, you can store the keys of more than 150 protocols which makes for the most extensive support of any hardware wallets. We are very proud to say that today, Nanos secured around 20% of the whole world market cap, and that we recently passed the 5 millionth Nano owners, which makes literally the biggest hardware community in the world. Now, you would agree with me that storing your keys safely is definitely crucial, but we believe at Ledger that being able to use your crypto and to make good use in a safe and easy-to-use environment is also super important. And that's why we have also Ledger Live. Ledger Live, it's our software solution. It's designed to work magically with the Nano to unlock its full set of features. We today have 1.7 million active users of Ledger Live, and it's designed to be a real one-stop shop everything for cryptos. What it means is that on Ledger Live, you are able to manage your whole portfolio and interact with a huge amount of blockchains and a huge amount of features. On Ledger Live, you can buy, you can swap, you can even stake, and sometimes, when available, you can interact with dApps directly embedded into the software for maximum convenience. And all of that, it's available on both mobile and desktop, so you can be in control anywhere at any time. Today, on Ledger Live, we support more than 50 protocols and thousands of tokens. Now that you got the fact that Ledger is both a hardware company but has also a software solution, well, as a wallet, we face one main challenge, which is to cope with the pace of the market. The market is changing really fast, and it's in our duty to provide users with new protocols, new coins, and new features to Ledger Live, our wallet. So the question is, then, what's our strategy? How do we integrate new coins to Ledger Live? And this needs a bit of a history lesson. So let me take you back 1 year. At the time, we were all doing in-house, basically. We had our team of engineers working really hard to understand the specificities of every single protocol that we wanted to integrate and just dive under the hood and see what was the technology. And this took a lot of time. Pablo would probably be able to tell you that, but it took a lot of time. It wasn't really efficient, and we didn't have the pace. And the real problem is that we didn't have the expertise on every single blockchain. That's just not possible. So we had a problem, and the question was, then if we don't have the expertise, then who has? And the answer is pretty straightforward. It's all of you guys. It's the community, it's the foundation, it's the developers. You guys have the expertise that we don't, so why don't we just provide you with the best possible tools to build on top of Ledger? So you can integrate your coins by yourself. And that was the start of Ledger as a platform. Ledger as a platform is three main things. It's first, a fully open source code base. Yeah, that's right, our code is fully open source. That's funny for a security company. Second is the developer portal. developer portal. It hosts our documentation, which are the recipes, basically the cooking recipes of having the best possible and flawless integration with Ledger Live. Because sometimes some question remains after the documentation, we have a Discord server where a dedicated team of both engineers but also product owners and product managers are here to answer the remaining questions. We had this strategy for a bit over a year now. We've been doing this for over a year now. So the question is, did it work? Was it a good idea to switch to a platform model? Well, of course, yes, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about this on stage today. And these were the results. In 2022, we managed to integrate more than 10 new protocols and even more features than this. We had some great successes, but our one biggest success that remains our first big success is the Elrond integration. The Elrond integration, it happened a bit over a year ago, I think. They were the first guys to manage to integrate with this new model, platform model. And at the time, we were completely blown away by the expertise of the guys. They managed to integrate all by themselves and literally within weeks, like 3 weeks. So that was really impressive. And what they brought to Ledger Live was this. They achieved and they brought to users, to Ledger Live users, the send and receive feature as well as the buy and swap feature that were for the first time available directly within one single account page on Ledger Live, very convenient way. But of course, as always with Ledger and with Ledger Live integrations, it was also coming with high standards in terms of security. At Ledger, we think that the best security is for you guys to be able to see what you sign and not just sign transactions blindly. That's why we are giving you the tools to, basically we are displaying every single critical info before you sign it so you can review it. And we call that clear signing. It's very important to us, and it was, of course, already present in the first Elrond integration. Now, you hear me talking about the first Elrond integration. That must mean that there's something else to it. And yes, we kept working with the Elrond team, with Lucien, with Alexandru, with the whole team, and I am very lucky to be on stage today and very honored to get to announce what's coming next for the Elrond protocol on Ledger Live before the end of the year. And the first feature that is coming very soon to Ledger Live is full native staking support. Full native staking support will be available directly from your account page. But that's not all. Because we think that Elrond is truly a great protocol, we want to participate in both decentralization, but also securing the network. And that's why we're coming with our own Ledger validator in partnership with Figment. The validator will be also available in this release. But that wouldn't be enough. The guys from Elrond, they did such an amazing job that they managed to bring to you guys two features. So it is not only the staking feature, but in the same release, we are coming with ESDT support. The team from Elrond, they are bringing you 3 new ESDTs directly available to manage from your account page. 3 of the most used ESDTs by the community, which are USDC, MyoDex, and Holorite, with more tokens to come in the months following the release. Now, what does it mean? Why is it such a big deal to have those 2 new features coming to Ledger Live? Well, first, it means a lot of ease of use. The Elrond team, they created a space, a dedicated space within Ledger Live, within the vast amount of features in Ledger Live, dedicated to Elrond and to e-gold owners. From one single page, it's now possible to interact with pretty much any feature of the Elrond blockchain, and this in a very convenient way. But of course, that's not all. You guessed it by now, security is of course really important for us, so this integration is also coming with the highest standards in terms of security. Clear signing that I introduced just 2 slides before, it's of course available also with the 2 new features. So you can both store your keys, your Elrond keys, in a very safe way and make good use of those eagles. And we're taking all of that and we are bringing that to the whole Ledger community. That means that those features are coming to more than 2 million users right now that might already use and know Elrond, but might also completely discover the immense power of this blockchain with this integration. With this, we are very proud to say that Ledger Live is becoming, with MyoDex, one of the one-stop shop crypto everything for Elrond, and we are very proud of this. We keep working with the Elrond team to bring you guys even more features, so stay tuned for that. I'd like to thank the whole Elrond team for their amazing work. They are truly the most knowledgeable on our tech stack today, and they have become, over the last year, one of our most trusted partners. So thank you so much, guys, for this. Thank you for the amazing conference, and thank you for your attention.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. Thanks to the amazing Elrond team for making that happen. My name is Julien Maldonato. I'm partner at Deloitte, in charge of innovation, especially Web3. And I'm going to share with you my vision of the metaverse, the next decade in front of us. And I will try to convince you that it is inevitable. First, my definition of the metaverse. I love this one because it says it's not a place, it's a moment in the humanity time, the moment in time where our digital life is worth more to us than our physical life. Could sound afraid, but it's not. In fact, it's talking about value. And as a physician, I would define value as a decrease of entropy, meaning a produce of information, of intelligence, to brings us well-being, because we are living things, and we need to decrease our internal entropy to feel better. I will come back to this definition later, but it's not something new. In fact, it's already happening for more than 20 years. As you can see in our work, the way we socialize, the way we entertain, the way we use our identity, we are still very much in the digital world, and it will continue with new tools like metaverse. So, as I said, I will use physics, and in particular, I will use thermodynamics, the third law, the third rule, principle, to prove that it is inevitable. On the left, you have these third rules. It says that in the universe, in our universe, every single structure is self-organizing to maximize the energy dissipation. All of you, each one of you are a dissipative structure. And all together, we are forming a much complex dissipative structure. Life appears because of that evolution. Because in order to self-organize, to maximize the energy dissipation, we have to decrease our internal entropy. Meaning we have to produce and to store information. In simple words, to be smarter, intelligent. And that's why when life appeared, DNA appeared to store information. And because it was too slow to evolve, it appears also after the genetic, the memetic, the use of brain to store more information more quickly. After that, we need new tools like writing, after that printing, after that computing, and so on. And in this curve, exponential curve, will appear what we call Web3, meaning decreasing entropy into block of blockchain by transforming energy. Transforming energy is not bad. Proof of work is not bad. It's just the way the universe works and the law of physics. So, to me, there are four main components interesting in the world we are building. It's time to build because we have no kind of maturity around these four components. First one is the new kind of networks called distributed networks, like Elrond networks. These kind of networks are bringing us security with tokens, tokenomics to ensure security, and brings us transparency, ownerships with keys. We just saw a ledger, not your keys, not your asset, not your informations. So it brings us what we call self-sovereignty. And last interesting thing is all kind of protocol, self-executed contract, what we can call it DApp, decentralized application. And that DApp could bring us a lot of token, at least an infinite natures of tokens. Everything could be tokenized. Every information, every concept, every object, physical or digital, could be tokenized. to bring us sense, to bring more information sense like semantic, to bring us the origin of information, who is the producer, who is the creator, who is the user, the consumer of information. So it will bring us a more intelligent internet. And last things is the convergence between the physical world and the digital world. In fact, there are not two different worlds. It's all about information. It's all about waves and signals, like the light, and my eyes are transforming this signal into information into my brain. So it's the same word, in fact, a word of physics. And to bring is more easy in an easy way this physical world, we will need more sensors. We all have sensors in our pockets, in our phones. We will have more and more accurate, more precise sensors to have a kind of model of the physical world and being a virtual model. And in the other way, what we call for now virtual will more and more feel to us like real, meaning that in a few years, we won't be able to feel the difference between what we used to call virtual and the physical one. Our brain will be tricked, will be fooled, and it's amazing. We are just at the beginning. As you can see, you can a bit recognize me, but in the future, you will think about as a photo behind me. I was talking about identity. As you know, to access to a metaverse, we will need keys and identity. For now, in the current web, we are not owner of our identity. We are more renter of our identity. We rent it to big techs. In the future, we will hold our keys and our identity with different kind of tools like wallets. Once we access to the metaverse, we will have all the identity attributes, names, births, assets, everything. Everything will be represented by tokens, non-fungibles or fungible tokens, and virtualized also, not only tokenized, but virtuals, meaning that we will have a representation easy to understand for our brain, more natural, I would say. For instance, I tried to do a kind of art, and to illustrate the way it's easy to tokenize my property, because I'm a creator, so I needed to encapsulate the property right, the ownership right, into a token. So I made a non-fungible token for this right management tool. And then I also virtualized this art into metaverse, the 3D representation of this painting. And once I did that, it's easy for me to exchange it. Much more easy than the financial system, the current financial system we have. Because in the financial system we have, we need a lot of intermediaries, from banking to securities managers and so on. In a way that in the future, we will maybe come back to bartering. Easy way to exchange things, information, creation, value creation, because by painting, I'm reducing entropy, so I'm creating a value. So I need to store it and to exchange it easily in 3D space. So by doing that, we will facilitate the emergence of a new kind of finance called the decentralized finance. It will be easier to exchange value with tokens. Some of them could refer to old money like fiat with stablecoin, but maybe we will not have in a long future need anymore kind of old currencies. Everything will be tokenized, so it will be barter. So the payments will evolve a lot. We will have a decentralized application like Maya Exchanger to facilitate the lending, the borrowing, the insurance to cover some kind of new risk with token, and also to invest. Everything will be done in an easy way, 3D ways, new kind of experience. So what we have in the previous version of internet, the e-commerce, will be tomorrow a meta-commerce. We will also have new kind of use cases around governance, citizen governance or private organization governance. It will be more easy to engage final users in policy making with token incentives mechanisms and with immersivity. So it's interesting to see how from the public sector to the private sector, every governance will be easier with Metaverse and Web3. The slide, sorry, it was not the slide I was looking for. So governance, as I mentioned, will be revolutionized. Like training and learning. We will use immersivity and again, learn to earn mechanisms, incentives with token to engage more learners around training and so on. New way of working. Again, same mechanism, will engage more collaborators around work, will catch more attention when we will all have headsets, VR headset and devices. You will be more focused on the work and the collaboration. For instance, in order to work on some new concept, in order to modelize, to do modeling around new concept, it will be easy to make it appear in front of us and to talk about a car, a house, new kind of risk around all of that. Everything will be easier to understand. Again, the idea is to decrease entropy, is to bring us intelligence, more readable things, more understandable things. And with pleasure. We will use kind of entertainment, pleasure, comfort to be better at work. And so on. In fact, there is no limit in terms of use cases. There is no limit in terms of potential. We are, as I said, at the beginning of a long journey that will bring humanity to new kind of intelligence. It will be spectacular. It will be a lot of wow effect. And why it's now and why it's time to build again, it's because we have a lot of maturity and a lot of choices in terms of building zone. There is in this schema 10 types of innovation around the Web3. Oh, sorry, there is no the full picture, but from the way you will operate in terms of business to the way you will distribute your offering and engage customer through your products, you will have 10 different types of possible innovation with Web3. as I mentioned, the way you will work with immersivity and tokens and incentives mechanism, new kinds of security around the information, the traceability, the trust, the way you're offering your product in every industry, you will present your products with new kind of services, autonomous services with self-executed contracts, decentralized application. You will have the ability to create adjacent services around core product. Because of the composability of Web3, interoperability in the future, it will be easier to connect between businesses, between industries, between sectors. So easy to make new kind of adjacent services. And obviously, the experience will be much more efficient. We have two eyes, and with this screen, we are not able to use the full potential of our two eyes. We are not seeing a stereoscopic the future here. But sooner, in a very few moments, we're able to access this third dimension, the depths, the volume. So it will bring us like a Power 3, a cubic information more. So in terms of engagement, a lot of business will use act to earn mechanism to engage more their customer. Act to earn, meaning that with tokens, the interaction will be engaging. It's better. I don't know if it's written here, and you will have the slide. So that's in short the full potential of the Web3 and the metaverse. And as we said, yeah, it's time to build all together. And yeah, if you have questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Are you ready?
100%. Let's do it.
You get like a rock star clap when you come in. I need that. I need to get that.
Benjamin effect.
Yeah, come on. Come on.
Benjamin, you announced a lot of things yesterday, and in this panel we will focus on metaverse. You are not alone. Herman, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining. And for start this panel, I propose you to talk a bit more about your activity, your enterprise, but also your past. Can you give us a bit more detail?
Sure. I mean, Improbable today, a little bit of background. We're the world-leading provider by the numbers of multiplayer expertise into about 60 different publishers. So we work on every major shooter franchise. We built Fall Guys, the multiplayer mode, if you guys played that. Recently, Gotham Knights, Modern Warfare 2. You can see us in the credits, kind of buried in there. And we spent the last 10 years learning everything we could about how to build difficult-to-create, complex virtual worlds. And if you look right now at the metaverse space, it's all hype and no substance. You know, there's very little credible, tangible, good experiences people want to be part of. And so our focus has been, how do we break that? How do we create really valuable experiences? And one of the things we've been able to do, which hopefully you saw in the trailer yesterday, is allow environments which can support 20,000 people, all in the same space, all speaking at the same time, all interacting with presenters and performers. And just like in the blockchain space, you think about transactions a second, we've been focusing on operations per second. And today, Improbable can do like 10 billion operations a second, I think is the latest thing, which is nice.
Not bad, not bad.
But our big focus, and this is what Benjamin and me kind of fell in love on a little bit, is how do we go beyond technology to something that unlocks the massive creative potential of the space? And so we're building this network which will connect together many different worlds, including X worlds, including Yuga Labs' other side, and I know Nicole is here later today as well. And our vision is to go further, right? It's to build this ecosystem. And I think what you guys are doing here is going to be such a vital component in making that happen.
I had already heard about Improbable. You was working with Yuga Labs. Can you also give a bit more detail about it?
Well, Nicole will be here later, who's the CEO, so she'll speak a bit herself. But yeah, we are the developer of Other Side. So we are creating all of the gameplay and technology that supports the world. We did an event earlier this year, First Trip, which was the largest number of people ever inside a single experience for now. I know we're planning to do a little bit more in the next few weeks. And it's been an incredible experience. We've been able to bring the community together in one environment. It was incredible to see their reactions, their emotions, to have actors and other people there. We're now beginning to work even beyond that with sports leagues and fashion brands. I think a lot of quite poor quality metaverse projects over the years have led to a very skeptical outlook from consumers. So for us, it's just about the experience. How do we build something stunning? We've now solved rendering at scale. We've solved bandwidth compression issues. And I think the partnership we're now striking with Multiverse really excites me, because bringing together our expertise in building complex worlds with the incredible technical expertise in blockchain and Web3 that this community represents, that's fire.
Fire.
And I'll just finish by saying, man, we met because one of our partners is Andreessen Horowitz, so we met every crypto blockchain company, and 15 minutes with the formerly Elrond and now Multiverse team, I was like, shit, these people know what they're talking about, There's so much bullshit, people raising hundreds of millions of dollars to promise a proof-of-stake blockchain 15 years from now. And these guys did it, years ago. And it's very easy to see where the real capability lies.
Thank you. We can stop this conversation right now.
That was your last announcement yesterday, X Worlds. How did you get this idea of collaboration together?
The curious and fascinating part is that we've been working on the path and what would be needed to unlock this type of breakthrough, this type of different value experience and so forth for the metaverse. We've been in discussion with all the relevant metaverse companies almost in the world, and it's basically the flip side story. After going and having all the conversations and so forth, right at the end, we discovered this curious company called Improbable. And each thing we've discovered after that was even more surprising, because it looked like someone was copying or has been spying on whatever we were writing and preparing and so forth. Then we started the conversation, and the conversation was, of course, crazy, like a conversation that starts, then 5 hours time stops, really deep dive and so forth, and then the next day, and so forth, and that one step led to another, and then we saw that there's, as Herman said, an incredible opportunity here to unlock for the people, but it requires several different components. It definitely requires a component where someone understands rendering, understands multiplayer environments, understands a lot of aspects that are not obvious if you've not created games for a very long time. And then at the same time, this is not enough. if you do not pair this with a blockchain that can really scale, with a super app that can enable anyone from wherever they may be in the world to join, and then with some worlds which are, on the one hand, very, let's say, philosophically fascinating for the different communities, but then also simple worlds that are just stunning or incredibly beautiful, where people can interact, connect, and so forth. So this has been a long conversation, but as we've progressed, it was very scary a bit to discover how close the visions were and then how they were converging to the same point.
From the new name of Facebook, a lot of people are starting to talk about metaverse. But for me, we have two technical...
The wrong version, maybe?
Oh,
A
yeah,
wrong version.
We'll come to that.
That's
We'll come
why.
to that.
Yeah.
No. You can't even...
And that's why you took the time tomorrow to take your definition of the metaverse, because I think if we are asking 10 or 20 people in this room the definition of the metaverse, we will not have the same definition.
Look, I took the trouble of getting Benjamin's permission to give all of you a copy of a book, which we literally wrote to answer this question. So hopefully you'll all get a copy. But I think if you, and we aligned on this very well, if you think of the metaverse as just an extension of the internet or just an opportunity to screw around in virtual worlds and games, you completely miss the value proposition, right? That's not what it is at all, you know. For me, and I think Benjamin and me aligned on this, this was one of the first things we aligned on. For us, the metaverse is a network of value, a network connecting different socially constructed realities together. And what matters in that network are that the events, identities, the things that happen in that world have meaning, because they don't only exist in one context. They can move from one context to another. And the other crucial ingredient is that the experiences enabled by the metaverse have to be differentiated. They have to provide fulfillment for people, even if they didn't know that crypto was involved or new technology was involved. And so I think we've both talked about this, but you know, whether it is opportunities for massive gatherings in sport and in music, whether it's governments being able to engage differently with their populations, whether it's people who are creatives getting the chance to actually earn income and value in ways they never could otherwise, those are the things you have to enable. Those are the things you have to make possible. And to make that a reality, you need all the ingredients Benjamin is talking about. You know, you can't just do one piece or another. So to bring it back a little bit to Facebook, they have none of those ingredients. You know, it isn't even just a case of spending $10 billion a year. If you're spending it on the wrong damn thing, you know, they're going to be like the Yahoo of the metaverse. You know, we're going to hear about them, and then they're going to be, you know, we don't talk about them again. That's the truth. That's the reality.
But, and
you know, and I know their office is like across the street, but you know,
maybe,
so please don't go tell them that. But
yeah, don't quote him on this one.
No. Although I've said it publicly like 9 times, so you know.
But what I would say is there's almost 2 points that you could look at this from. And one of the points is that the very essence of the idea is not only recognizing what we have in this physical world, the universe, but then finding a way to recognizing what we have in this new world or potential network of worlds, and then defining or finding a word that creates this space for both worlds to evolve to their maximum potential.
Exactly.
This is what Multiverse X means. And it's multiverse to the power of X. So it's almost like it embedded in the concept is the idea of taking both worlds to their maximum potential and then still harmonizing them, still permitting worlds, both of them, to influence the other. This is one way of looking at it, and then maybe a much crazier way that we'll definitely discuss about in the next months.
I have thousands of questions.
Is just this idea of trying to capture what it would mean to have the ultimate type of experience, meaning, fulfillment, learning, and all of that in one word, and how we could create that. And that's sort of the idea of the eternal city. So I was not planning to give this type of idea right now, but just
Spilling all the secrets now.
the idea of creating an eternal city to push the boundaries of what we've built, what we've experimented with, both in, let's say, learning, entertainment, meaning, fulfillment, and so forth, is probably one of the most fascinating ideas, because it's not only like building a new city where you do have to have the architecture, urbanism, and so forth, but here you need to also think about the deepest questions. What does actually mean to be human? What does it mean to interact with fellow human beings, with friends, and so forth? How can we build something that we've only dreamed about, and some people have dreamt about thousands of years before, and then now, for the first time, we can take this to a point where this has never been done before?
And one of the things I most admire about our collaboration and this community is the recognition and the lack of hubris in understanding that it can't be done alone. You know, you all have phones in your pockets, and you think of those microchips, and what we don't all realize is Carl Zeiss in Germany makes the optics. You know, ASML makes the machines. TSMC does the fabrication. Then they get designed by ARM, and then they get produced. And these 4 or 5 companies, they work together in this deeply collaborative way to unlock this modern miracle. And the hubris of a company like Facebook or anybody else in thinking that one business, one community, one piece is enough is completely wrong. You know, without the ability to have incredible experiences, nobody will come. But without the ability for those experiences to be connected to a system of value, to a great underlying chain, to a great ability to move value from one place to the other, you can't build businesses. So all
And
those
maybe
pieces are so important.
the strongest point that fundamentally amplifies the value of everything we've discussed is when this becomes an interoperable,
Exactly.
open network.
Exactly. And
With this,
yeah.
this becomes unstoppable. Not improbable, but unstoppable.
and this is, you know, just to finish on that, I don't know, the bravery of you, and I know Yuga Labs is coming later, but the bravery of companies that would normally think of themselves as competitors, to say, actually, how do we share value? How do we create something bigger than ourselves? That is what big tech is never going to do. They only think in terms of acquisition and ownership, and that is not how Web3 works, and that is not how value is created.
100%.
I'm okay with the possibilities. And I think we can do a lot of things. Because, yes, every solution, every tool will amplify what we can do with this technology. But you will have to start by a concrete and simple use case. Do you have already in mind some simple, concrete use case that respond to an actual needs? And you will start by this point of view, because with X money, fiat and cryptocurrency, with metaverse interaction, why not VR in the future? Do you have already, with some of these tools, some things that you want to propose? And if you want to make a small leak, you can too.
You want me to throw one in?
Yeah, sure.
For an example, I'll give you a very concrete example, which nobody ever does in this space that we've talked about. Now, suppose you're a fan of Manchester United, you live in Southeast Asia, right? You never get to come to a game. You never get to really buy merchandise beyond basic
You should
things.
choose a team from France.
Okay. PSG. I love PSG. PSG has a huge fan base. I went to a game recently, and it was like watching the A team beat the B team. It was pretty sad, to be honest. But, you know, you take PSG. They have an international fan base of how many people? Hundreds of millions, right? How much revenue do they make per person? Not much, because only so many people can buy tickets and come to the match. Only so many people can meet the top players. Now, imagine using the X app. You can be sitting in India or in Southeast Asia on a 3G connection with our collaboration with Improbable.
I'm not sure if you've intentionally alluded to Elon Musk's app or our
Your
X
app.
portal.
Your app. His app is still TBD, right? It's coming soon after the self-driving cars. But the point is, you know, the app we're talking about here with Portal. Now imagine you could click a link or a button on that app, instantly jump into a crowd of tens of thousands of people speaking with their own voices, which we can do, right? all loving the game, meeting players, interacting together, being able to make micropayments easily, being able to earn money, remove money out. Maybe you're a moderator inside that experience. We know that that will be transformative for these industries because we're working with them now and they're already talking about where that value can go. And the pieces you need to do that are you need the experience, which our collaboration is building. You need the infrastructure to bring value in and out, which I think Elrond is the Multiverse X is the absolutely best platform to do that in. And then you're able to create real value. And this isn't something that we're speculating on. Customers and companies are coming to us right now asking for these things.
And what I will add is that the entire conversation of what will unfold in what we are doing is that we're taking this idea and making it a reality today.
Now. Yeah.
Not in 10 years, not when VR will be ready, not when AR will be ready, which is cool. Like, these technologies will be extremely valuable at some point. When they're ready, even with them, we'll want to integrate, interoperate, if they want to abide by some clear open principles that will be available. But the key question is, indeed, thinking for 1 second that you could access from anywhere in the world, a type of experience that would be just simple learning differently with super important or relevant people. Imagine that you could attend, for instance, a lecture by a Nobel laureate, and you can interact there. He's in that place with you, you can see something, you can learn something in a completely new way. Now, the fact that on top of the interaction, whether it's with friends, whether it's with people in a classroom, whether it's for businesses, the fact that you can do that and on top of that have payments or other sophisticated interactions as a rail embedded in it, that's absolutely
And
incredible.
you want to propose more than an experience. You want to propose a tool for the community to build this kind of experience, right?
Exactly, right? I mean, and I don't know how much, you stop me if we reveal too much here, right? So you cut
No,
me.
let's go.
But you know,
People will definitely discover a lot more today than they should have.
well, you stop me. But you know, it's important to talk about the gulf in capability between our collaboration and everybody else. So I want to come back to that number again, right? The best experience you can commercially buy today handles only 10,000 messages on the back end. This is the most important metric.
That's why you want 10,000 people at the same time connected.
No, if you want 10,000 people, you need 1 billion messages a second on the back end, right?
Okay.
Which we're able to
Changes
do.
the
Not the same
conversation a
challenge,
bit.
right?
We're able to do. And if you want those 10,000 people to all buy something or interact with permanent, persistent data at the same time, you're not going to achieve that on some shitty blockchain that does like five transactions a second. Okay. You may as well mail in your order, dial up the phone, and do it, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And better yet, you know, this is the point. There are talkers and there are builders. And the talkers get all the attention and the builders build, right? And so the practical problems in realizing these experiences, and we've been doing this now for years, and we're going to do more together. You heard yesterday on the trailer what you're going to see on the 10th. You're going to get to actually experience this, right? But each piece, each subtle piece has to be solved in order to build something of actual value. And that's what I think this collaboration is really going to unlock.
As we've touched on this, the entire point was that we could essentially each build different paths that at some point would converge and would work to some extent. But the key point is that the opportunity for a collaboration is so large when you have multiple breakthroughs, not only the social interaction, massive multiplayer interaction, but then the simplicity of an app that can enable that.
Everything.
And then the blockchain underpinning, the fabric underpinning this entire experience. This essentially enables us for the first time to come to a simple or clear use case where I could say that everything that we're doing with education can be completely rethought, from like opening a website on the
Education
internet.
is the target
and so
for you?
forth.
Education is the main word, right?
Education is one thing that we'll definitely begin with, but what I'm saying is, compared to even the best versions that we've had on the internet, when you can create an experience with presence, not immersiveness. You could also touch on immersiveness later, but with
Yeah,
presence.
that will be my next question. You want in the near future to propose something with more virtuality?
Yeah, so to be really clear on this technically, we actually can do VR now. One of the biggest VR games in the world launched based on our old tech. The technology required to support very realistic interactions in VR has a lot of similarities to the technical problems you need to solve in supporting very dense virtual environments. Nobody wants it. You know, what customers want right now is mass accessibility. If Macron is going to do a talk in the metaverse, he doesn't need only to talk to people in VR headsets, you know? He wants to talk to everybody on their phones, wherever they are.
And the problem with that is that there are 5 people with headsets.
Exactly, exactly.
That's the entire market. It's not like we would not love to use the headset today.
Yeah.
It's awesome to use the headset, but bring some more people in. This is why X-Portal is critical to the entire discussion, because just as with the internet, if you have a network, but only the smartest people in the world, like 5 people, the army, the universities, and so forth, can use that network, you won't have a market. With the browser, something else emerged. This is what X-Portal should do for the metaverse, in a way that everything we're building, every experience has 1,000 times more value once you can onboard the people and offer them these opportunities.
There's an interesting, I think, dovetail angle on that, which is one of the things I've been most impressed by in our conversations is most blockchain providers that I've spoken to, they are desperately embedded with the delusion that the average consumer cares about crypto. They want to expose the dynamics of the blockchain to the underlying consumer. They want them to care if they're on this chain or that chain. And I think one of the most powerful things about the app, about thinking at a higher level, about focusing on the user experience, is we recognize that the chain is a tool, right? And that the average person, the football fan or the person jumping into that world, they just want a great experience. And I think having a portal, having a browser, I mean, it's almost like asking consumers to, like, you know, use Telnet to, you know, do websites.
There
right?
was
You
a
know,
time for
There was
that.
a time, right? You know, and I think there's a lot of hubris in the crypto space, and that hubris is going away, and relationships like this one make sense. I also encourage, if you guys are wanting to talk more about VR, I know later today we have, of course, Phil, who started Second Life. Very interesting views on VR and on its applicability and lack of applicability to a lot of these things.
10 December. It is a scalability test. It is a glimpse of what you're able to technically push. That's not like that. million transaction for 10,000 people. Benjamin, can you push 1 million transaction on it?
The key point here is this. So we want to emphasize 2 points here. One, that the frontier of what can be built and what this idea means is absolutely extraordinary.
It is a publical technical test.
But the first steps need to be very anchored in reality. You cannot jump in the eternal city tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Rome cannot be built from one day to another. You want to make progress, and then this is why it's called a first glimpse. You get to experience, you get to warm up, you get to share feedback, you get some ideas.
Anyway, you
but
can't
it's a
do
first
it
step.
in intern because you need 10,000 people.
Yes.
Well, hopefully you guys can bring some friends, right? We need, you know, but I think it's more than a test because it's an experience. And I think what it should do for all of you, if you're part of it, is it'll give you a very, very important experience that we've had that's been transformative for us. When you feel what it's like to be in a crowd, a large crowd, and we hope we can, you know, hit 10,000 or more if you guys attend, it's magical. You know, you're in a group of people who are present, who are all there. And all of this talk of the metaverse being about a Zoom meeting with 4 people, I mean, come on, like, who the hell needs that, right? That's not magical, that's not wondrous. You know, I think if I had, you know, one criticism for some of the other stuff happening, it's just boring. And I know we're gonna have Nicole here later from Yuga. the possibilities also when you go beyond one experience, the connecting them together, is so exciting. And something that takes a very forward-looking mindset to achieve, which I'm really happy to be collaborating with you guys because you guys have it.
In your target, in this first glimpse, users will be able to communicate or only just be connected 10,000 at the same time?
100% communicate.
You can also
Really?
Yeah.
we built
We should not give too much because
too much. We shouldn't give too much, but there's some stuff that's
Yes.
already public. This is not a smoke and mirrors test. This is a system handling billions of messages a second. You'll be able to speak, you'll be able to talk. I'm not going to tell you anything else you'll be able to do. But those two things we can say. Don't swear, though, because we'll kick you out. We have an automated... No, it's fine.
And one last point that maybe I'll make to all the conversations that I think the Minister of Romania was very, very crisply pointing out, is that with all this power comes great responsibility. Making sure that there is something that looks simple, but it's so fundamental and changes the entire conversation, such as direct and full ownership embedded in it. That there is this type of freedom embedded in the creation of a new world means that there's a distinct direction where you can create communism, a world for communism, and this would be metaverses that do not have blockchain embedded in it. And then a world where you really have what we've discovered to be extraordinarily useful, and then can now encode in a digital form and put it at the base of such a world. So having this type of responsibility toward what we are trying to create is fundamental and will immediately, as this becomes available, change the perspective of what it would mean, just as the first country having freedom, a declaration of independence and so forth, changed the perspective of what communism meant and why it could not work. Because once you have a benchmark of something that can take off, then you're starting to wonder, why are we doing this other thing? Because it doesn't work, obviously.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Technically, and I'm talking about blockchain point of view, actually the Elrond, Multiversix network, the capacities of the network is already operational for this experience, or you will need more shard, you will need to deploy new things for that?
This is the beauty of Elrond and now Multiverse X, that we've built a network that is dynamically adaptive.
Yeah.
Now, this part is very little understood. Most people that have built blockchains that they say are sharded have one shard. They've never solved the problem of sharding.
How many, for 10,000 people and for this million transaction, how many new shards you will have to open?
The really good
We'll see.
the really good thing also is
But this is a nice problem to have, right?
Yeah, yes.
This is the steps that are adding value to the conversation. And when something like this appears, again, it contrasts everything that exists out there, where you, for instance, see that 5 transactions, 7 transactions, 15 transactions, or even 100, they will not solve nothing for you to be able to build on.
But what's also quite fascinating about this collaboration is the pragmatism of understanding what information should be on a blockchain and what information should be on caches and other kinds of services. Like, there are too many maximalists who want to use a tool for a purpose it wasn't intended.
One and only one tool.
Exactly.
Everything.
For everything, which doesn't make sense. And so one of the things that we are heavily leaning on the expertise of the Multiverse X team on is actually the close collaboration as we build out the network of metaverses on how to think about what problems are best put on a blockchain, what problems are best put on other kinds of services, what problems should be concealed from the customer and made easy using the app. So this kind of approach, like, pragmatism beats idealism in this space. And there are just too many companies that are maximalist on one thing or another thing. I also really admire the fact, I think in our conversations, despite being so focused on building the best chain you can, there's also recognition that there are multiple chains out there.
Interoperability between them is important. Operating in a way that allows for people to have a pragmatic answer is important. And that's why we chose to work together.
The key point that sort of recenters the gravity of the conversation on what matters is how can we onboard the next billion people? Like I, at the end of the day, incidentally care about building the blockchain, building the app, building the worlds, and so forth, because this enables us to make that breakthrough. If we have that wave, then everyone will be able to build cooler applications, better opportunities being accessible, and so forth. If we have 1 million users, 1,000 users, as there are with VR and so forth, that's not an opportunity you can work with. So this is why it's not as much about what we're building, because what we're building is awesome, and we're putting our lives in this. This is extremely important, but it's important because it unlocks this opportunity, and this is why it will always be a guiding principle for us to look much broader. We've solved this problem. Now, what's really needed? Why is it not happening? Yeah. This is why the portal is needed. This is why the worlds are needed. This is why a collaboration like this sets a different kind of premise for the vision to unfold.
And there's pragmatism also to the way in which we think about the community and the network. Like, we're not building this in a way that's adversarial with other projects. You're going to hear today from from Yuga and from the scale of what they're doing, and everything is interoperable. X Worlds, you'll be able to take assets, bring users, take users in. That creates a much more compelling opportunity for investment into the network for everybody. And I also am really encouraged.
I think this thing, people have not yet at all internalized.
Yeah, it's like so powerful.
What interoperability means when you have other extremely fascinating potential partners.
Yeah.
That's
Because when we are talking about interoperability in the blockchain field, is basically communicating between different blockchain.
No. Yeah. We're talking even bigger than that. We're talking interoperability of experience. So you can take your avatar from an X world.
Yeah.
You click a button, and you can move to another X world.
Yeah.
Or you could move into, say, Paris Saint-Germain's metaverse, and you bring your avatar with you. We have this working now.
Just
right?
the fact to have the same balance in the real life.
Exactly.
That you can spend your money, but also have this same balance in another video game, another experience. Yes. And that's why I really think we can bring, the goal is not to propose one experience with few tools, but it's to propose a sandbox with the different ingredients that every people will be able to create its own world with its own experience and take some tools, some bricks of payment, communication, interaction.
You get it, but it's also about maximizing the value of every asset sold in every X world. If you buy a piece,
stop sharing all the information.
Oh, I won't say too much. I won't say too much. If you get involved with X worlds in whatever way that might be, without revealing, and you stop me if I go too far. I'm here to leak. That's my job. If you believe and commit, then you don't only have to believe and commit in the delivery of one developer or one partnership. You are supported by every partnership, by every developer, right? And this concept of a union is very new in this space, and it's something that I think embracing is going to make this community even more valuable. The clapping, so that's something, you know.
What can I say?
You guys really like this guy. Shit, he's convinced me too. Damn, like, you know.
That's the end. We have no more time. Thank you. Thanks for all of this answer. And see you later. And we are waiting you at the 10th December, right?
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Please.
où tu veux, mon grand.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Sir moderator.
Anywhere, please sit down. Good morning. Good morning. Bonjour. All right, everybody. My name is Danilo. I'm from the Morningstar Ventures team. And today we have an amazing panel. 3 very French and very strong entrepreneurs on the panel here. Very excited to have them here and to learn with them how Web3 and the metaverse is going to impact the French ecosystem. On my left here, we have Owen Simonin, Monsieur Asher. I believe everybody knows him by now, of course. We have Monsieur David Princet, the managing director of Binance France. And then on the end, we have Monsieur Fabrice Dautria from Ledger. He's the head of platform and developer ecosystem. So, very good. Amazing. All right, we're going to get started actually with David. I believe your office is just across the street, right?
Yeah.
How was the walk this morning? Good?
It was a lot of traffic.
Oh, really? Right. Great. All right, so Binance, of course, huge name in the ecosystem, always since the history of Elrond. So that's really amazing to have you here. We had the conversation yesterday on the stage. We had Jean-Noël Barrot, the French Minister of Digital Transformation for the French government. And he talked about how much he and the government are pushing the crypto ecosystem here in this country, right? You guys have done the same with Binance. I think it's really amazing to see what you have done in the short time of space since you've bet on France. So my question to you, on behalf of everybody here, is what do you think are the implications both on a short term and long term for this push in the French ecosystem for crypto?
I think we reach a critical first phase where we can say that first phase is activated and second phase is now in process and in progress. And the success of the second phase will be key. On the first phase, it was about attracting good company, competitive ecosystem inside France. But now we need to arise and we need to create the app, the element, having the companies that implement themselves beautifully. And I would say that first phase was more about, those big protocol and big ecosystem like us, but also competitors. Second phase is going to be about the vivacity and the economical growth potential of the startup in France that need now to prove something to those ecosystem. So it's going to change the game, and it's also a challenge. We don't need to say, like, you can succeed in one phase and lose the other one, and at the end of the day, you're going to lose the game. So now it's critical to have like the next phase that implements itself beautifully.
Amazing. What is phase 3? That's quite intriguing here.
Maybe a movie.
Okay, I guess we will not get to know this today, but thank you so much. All right, the next question is for Fabrice. Where are we today with this process, with this stage, right? So David told us what the plan is for Binance, but where do you think the French ecosystem stands as of now?
Well, the French ecosystem as a whole has a lot of champions in Web3 today already. And just look at the guys here, okay, you all know them. But the fact that Binance is actually investing so much in France right now is actually a proof that Paris is a place to be right now. We have already a lot of dApps that are French-based. Some of them are DeFi-oriented, other ones are more NFT-oriented. And I think there is a deeply rooted philosophy in France about freedom and self-ownership. So all of these values that we always talk about when we talk about Web3 and the metaverse, we can actually feel them very profoundly anchored in the French spirit. The implications, as you asked just before, I think are really, really important for the decades to come. If we screw this up, we will lose again, like we lost with the internet, a few decades ago. So it's really important that we play this right, and this means that we should not, restrict innovation. And everyone I heard talking is actually saying the same thing. Okay, everyone is like, yes, we are still experimenting. There is not a single product right now that is fully, ready for mass adoption. So it's still an experiment, and I believe it will remain an experiment for maybe the next 5 or 10 years still. What's important is that we do not restrict experimentation. And so right now it's all about letting people try and maybe fail, but at least let them try.
Understood. Interesting. May I actually follow up on this question, still with you, Fabrice? What do you think could be better at the moment with the French ecosystem? What's missing? Like, what improvements could there be that could speed up this growth here in the French ecosystem?
So, first of all, I think we need to think more widely. Maybe not just France. Maybe Europe is a better, playing field. At least that's the way I see it. Maybe some people will disagree. And it's all about education. I think it's the Romanian minister that said it just earlier. The people actually making the decisions, they usually don't understand what they're talking about. And the first reflex of people don't understanding something is actually to say, no, it's dangerous. And when you hear about people talking about crypto, it's always the same. It's absolutely scammy, it's just to rob people, and it's all the Ponzi scheme. Obviously, we know it's not the case, and it's our role to educate. So what we could do better in France is actually accelerate on this effort to teach our political representatives, to talk to them, to let them know that this is the way we see things. And when we actually talk about the values and not really the projects, I don't think any reasonable people could actually be opposed to these values in a democratic world. So everyone should agree to that. And the problem is really, how do we make them understand that the technology is not inherently bad? Is actually not the case. It's just technology. Look at what happened with Tornado Cash and all these topics. We are having right now a very important, we are at a cornerstone, I would say, where it's important that we explain to the political leaders that the world of tomorrow needs to be better than the world of yesterday. And if we don't make this right now, well, we will not only lose in France and Europe, but we might actually be creating the world that we don't want, the exact opposite of the world we want.
Very interesting. I think I would love to get Owen's take on this as well, because I believe you have founded 2, 3, or even 4 blockchain startups in France.
Yeah.
Below 25, by the way, just a small anecdote here. So what were the challenges and what could be better? What's the infrastructure like? What would be your wishes for founders?
Do you know why it's the most important platform an enterprise want to set up an office in France?
I do not.
Because France is a passport for the whole European Union. That's why France is so important, and that's why, yes, we are leader in a lot of subjects that went free. We have to understand that it's a good thing to be a passport, because when you are regulated in France, you can operate in the whole European Union, yes, but we can do a lot of things better. For example, fiscality. Actually, in France, fiscality is not attractive. I'm not talking about putting a better fiscality for this year only, or for 2 or 5 years, just for the beginning of this technology. We have to be attractive because people have to build something here and start here in France. But actually, if we would need to focus on something very important, that will be the European regulation. That's why I'm also okay for saying that we have to educate the regulator. Because we are not talking about regulate cryptocurrencies, blockchain, Web3, or metaverse. No, that's bullshit. We are talking about regulate interaction between European users to the blockchain. Because if tomorrow we ban Bitcoin, proof of work, Web3, or I don't know, we will not regulate and put an interdiction on this field. We will just regulate and put a ban between European Union and this technology. The blockchain, it's impossible to stop. People will continue to use it to create solutions, to create interaction, and with or without European users, we will develop this technology. And later, when we will realize that we are losing a lot of time, we will say, okay, as internet, we have to change our position. We lost a lot of time, and time is money today, but also in this evolution and in this different technology. That's why we have to be more attractive. We have to continue to educate. It's a good thing to see our government say, yes, now we are talking about cryptocurrencies. Now we are understanding that blockchain is the future, and we have to take an important part on it. But we also have to propose a real legal frame to enable entrepreneurs to take some risk. We need to take some risk. We need people to take this risk, to create solution on this technology and to try something. That's why we need a better legal frame, I think.
Wow, amazing. So if you would say, please a round of applause. The next question was going to be for you, Owen, and I wanted to ask you whether you think France is ready, yes or no, in terms of adopting these new technologies. I believe you've covered, to a certain extent, your answer already, and I believe no country in the world is yet ready to embrace all this new technology and this new creativity that can come from these products, right? How do you feel that the actual builders are able to tap into the ecosystem and what resources do they have and what is missing in France that can foster and improve the speed of this adoption?
So it's funny because I will just go back to my last question, because the most famous and genius French builder on blockchain field leaves the country.
He left the country.
He left the country, sorry. Yeah, already.
Maybe you know his name?
No, but it's more a list of names than a name. But I think they can come back here because we also have a lot of tools. But yes, that is a problem. In France, we need just more. We just need the right to take some risk. We need the right to try, to fail, and to try it again. We are, in a position that we have to, but we have no visibility. We need a lot of legal interpretation, and sometimes we are doing something and we don't know if we have the right or not. I will give you an example, just mining. Today, the same entrepreneur as me 5 years ago, I can create this company. And we can create 100 new posts in France in this technology. That's why we need more visibility, not only to have the right or not to do something. It's the regulation, that's not the question today, but we just need to know what is possible and where we can go today to build and what will be out of access tomorrow. Actually, we have a lot of questions about DeFi, for example, NFTs, that for the moment, it's impossible to say if it's risky or not to create a business, to make a fundraising. It's a lot of engagement. When you are raising money, you have to deliver something. You have to, especially in the blockchain field, everything is around trust. You will ask to your community a funding, some money, and you will build a solution for that. If you are building something, but you can't have this guarantee that tomorrow you will be able legally to distribute it, you can take this risk, and you prefer, because entrepreneurs have to take the risk on the market, not only on the regulation. That's why just a bit more visibility, and for the moment we are starting to go in this way. So everything is not to change, everything don't need to change today, but yes, I think we have to accelerate this way with the government, and we have to continue to propose a more clear legal frame and to go in this way.
I will have some reserve on that because we are all French around this table, and you got to just see a very French display of the risk appetite that we have. Let's imagine that the legal framework of NFT is unclear, which is unclear a little bit everywhere in the world, actually. Some entrepreneur can raise funds and say, but the risk is that the legal framework is unclear. And the venture capitalist that's going to invest on that knows it. The better they're going to average the time to market to this kind of legal risk. Here, we want visibility before stepping in. We have a big risk aversion, and we want to know the 2 or 3 or 4 steps forward. We need also to a little bit get rid of that. It's good as well that strong French entrepreneur leaves the country after a certain scale. It shows that we are a good incubator. Maybe to maintain big corporation or big system, we are less, but the context and just seeing champion rising and then leaving will make us to make them come back. Life is about adjustment. So right now, I would say that the challenge, and it has always been, and it has been the example with Ledger, but with Sorare as well, with you, Owen, as well, is to be able to create the next champion. So you were the first generation, and we all know that there's going to be a second and a third and a fourth generation. And we need to create those kind of generation. But for this, there is two things that French is missing, in a way. The first one is that since 30 years, French was not the leader of a lot of international companies that came and implant in France. It was French actors that were leader of their market, big banks, big actors, etc. Meaning that basically French systems, only French know how it works. Only French know how to make it operative. Employment, tax, all those kind of systems are very unreadable for foreign companies that come and set up. It looks AV. It's still not a plug-and-play nation in the sense where you can create a company in UK more simply. You have administrative facility everywhere. So those kind of elements need to be fixed as well if we want France to stay the leader, to attract and then gather. The second element is we need the French people that develop on blockchain, etc., to become global. So we didn't do how to do it in Web2, so please don't apply the same methodology to Web3. Admit that the way we try to did it the next 5 years, or for the last 5 years, were the wrong way. Be humble, travel, go see the different parts of the world and their different vision of the blockchain. How could you be an actor of blockchain if you are not just a French actor? You need to be aware. And the next element is also be active inside the community of blockchain. And the community of blockchain, so we spoke a lot about community, etc. But community interact in different kind of channel. You know, the people that have developed a layer on top of Uniswap were on the community of Uniswap. So if you are aware, if you discuss a lot without any barrier, if you travel, etc., you're going to find the next trend emerge, you're going to be on the top of the wave. If you stay in France trying to solve French problem about a French point of view, I'm sorry, we are going to be the leader of the French, maybe.
Very interesting also that you mentioned Web 2. That's the field that I originally come from. And I think we've seen tremendous success for Web 2 startups from France. Algolia, Dailymotion, companies that have grown in France and then moved to the Valley and been adopted worldwide. So I guess you guys at Ledger have actually already paved the path forward with being a very international product that obviously services anybody in the world, right? So I believe that's exactly what we should do. If I may add the fact that all of you are French, I'm Italian and I can say I wish in Italy we had any ecosystem at all, right? So I believe France is definitely, amongst a few others in Europe, at the forefront of adopting this blockchain technology, which is really awesome. And I think the main also topic of today that we wanted to cover is the metaverse, right? Because it's this notion that sometimes gets misinterpreted or misunderstood. It's still very fresh. So I was curious to understand, how do you guys believe an ecosystem, a government actually, could benefit from a concept like the metaverse? Owen, do you want to go first?
That's very complex because it's very large. It's like internet or blockchain. Answers are multiple to this question. I really appreciate the way that Benjamin saw the first application of Elrond on that, because I think education is an important subject, because I like this subject personally, but that will be in different way. As we know, blockchain as just a technological layer that will change the world of sports, music, finance, communication, everything. So it's impossible to answer exactly to your question. But I think we need to understand two things. The first thing is, it's not possible. We have some material and technical unlock, so VR headset, but also phones, internet. We can easily access to this world everywhere in the world. And the second thing is, the second technical unlock, virtual uniqueness, digital uniqueness. Because of blockchain, we can create something virtual and add value on it. That's why virtual worlds are not traditional video game world because we can take part and we can hold a small part of this virtual world. This both technical unlock enable us to have the all ingredient to build the perfect experience. Metaverse, Web3, etc. Same thing on the Web 1, 2, and 3. Web 1, interaction, and we can read something. Web 2, we can read and write something. And Web 3, read, write, and hone something virtual. But now we will need a lot of different use cases. And we have, I think, to start by a simple case. Because we always want to bring everything in the single time, and we will have to try something. We will have to fail, to keep a lesson in mind to this fail, and to propose a solution. Some very obvious applications for me are around vote, around digital identity. I'm pretty sure the DID will change a lot of things. Compliance process, also a problem of the regulation, holding its own identity on my ledger. That's what I wish to do. But also authentication, I think that will be one of the most obvious and near accessible use case that we can do in this world.
Very interesting. I actually would like to go with Fabrice next because you mentioned ownership, then you mentioned data. We have a very important product in the Elrond ecosystem, Ethium, who actually works with identity in the metaverse. When it comes to ownership, Fabrice, how do you think, how is Ledger thinking about this? How can users own a piece of the metaverse in a secure way?
So the first answer is to say that we look at it from a very agnostic perspective because no one knows exactly what the metaverse will be next. We all have ideas. I heard a lot of people talking about virtual worlds. Maybe it's not even that. I don't know. Maybe it's more around e-commerce and a change of e-commerce. Maybe it will be something completely new that we never thought about. Just keep in mind that 15 years ago, no one would have imagined, or maybe some people, but everybody thought they were crazy, that you would be spending your Saturday night chilling around, looking at Netflix. That was not possible 15 years ago. No one could imagine it. So I don't know what the future will bring. I think no one knows. So that's why we must not restrict innovation. We need to let people try, fail, try again, and maybe succeed. But one thing is clear, and it's again around the values. What Owen said is actually right. The main difference between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3 is that now you can own a piece of digital asset, something scarce. And it could be your identity, definitely. That's something Ledger is looking into. But it could be, NFTs or art. It could be swords in video games. It could be anything that you can think of. It could be just tokens to access specific, events or even promo code on some websites. So all of this, we look at it from one angle and one angle only, which is if it's not decentralized and if it's not secure, it will not change Web 2. So if you have exactly the same experience, but it's decentralized and now you really own your data, now we can call it Web 3 in some way. If it's just around, having virtual world, I was already playing World of Warcraft, 10 years ago, and it was great, and it still works great. So why change? If there is not this added value of self-ownership and decentralization, and also governance, maybe that's the next big thing, well, what's the point? And really, Ledger is looking at it from this angle, okay? We are very humble in the way we look at it. We don't know what the metaverse is or will be. We just say, let's look at it and let's not make the same mistake. One thing around regulation, I don't know if you know, but Apple is changing its developer guidelines, specifically around NFTs. It's causing Ledger a lot of problem because we do support NFT on our products and we have to take a close look at what is now available on iOS. If we don't move fast enough by making clear what the new rules are, what the new principles are, the big Web 2 actors will define them for us. And that's the big issue now. I mean, the Google and Amazon and Apple of this world, they will define what is allowed on Web 3, and that's not the world I want to be in.
The social network as well.
And social network, exactly, absolutely.
Totally right. All I can think of by looking at you is how can I own these amazing Binance sneakers in a secure way in the metaverse on Ledger, right?
Handmade one.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, well, okay, so we talked a lot about, though, how this impacts users, right? How important is the metaverse for Binance specifically? I think everybody's curious.
It's very important, but for now we are like everyone. We are observing what happened and what are the progress inside metaverse. For now, sadly to say, no one really know what metaverse is. Everybody use the term without even really understanding what it means. I'm very glad that you spoke about World of Warcraft and all this kind of thing, because my theory is that metaverse exists since a long time. Metaverse is just a virtual space where people spend time. After, with a headset, with a keyboard, with a screen, etc., we don't care. It's where a community meet and act, interact, etc. So all the MMORPG, Final Fantasy XIV, etc., could be considered as a metaverse. And as you said, since 10, 15 years, we didn't own any data and it was okay. So we need not to understand, and we need not the community to define what is the things that they want to own, what is the kind of experience that have value for them, etc., etc., to be able to go to the next step. Right now, everyone is very exploratory and everyone is making his theory, meta included. We need now to define, to confirm the theory, and we need also the community to take a stance in a way. But for this, we need the good experience. You know, iPhone gave the right device for internet to grow and for Web 2. You didn't order a Uber from your desktop. You order a Uber from your iPhone, from your smartphone. We need the tool of the metaverse. What will it be? Will it be a headset? Will it be another one? I'm not here to define it. Will it be a ledger? Connected to a headset? Connected to... I don't know yet. But we need those kind of elements to be implemented, to be able to then explore, grow, and put the metaverse into the spotlight.
Yeah, very interesting. My next question is for you, Asher. I believe there's a commonality that everybody says the metaverse is coming, but at the same time, everybody doesn't want to commit or describe it too accurately. So nobody really knows how it will actually look. There's actually a movie called Ready Player One, which maybe showcases in the best form how the metaverse will look like. So my question for you is, how do you think it will look like, and what sort of application do you think will enable us to actually experience the metaverse firsthand?
I just changed my mind to the last panel, because I realized that if we need an headset and if we need a complete immersion, we will not propose the metaverse to everyone. But my first definition of the metaverse is, yes, it's a new world, but it's not only a question of story, like World of Warcraft, of League of Legends world. It's more than this. It's also an interaction. The first time when I played to Oculus, I was playing with my IT officer, and I was trying for the first time. My headset, I take the control of my character, and I remember we are playing in a zombie video game. We have to kill some zombie. So I remember the first moment where I understood that that virtual reality, not metaverse, virtual reality is powerful. That was a moment I just opening a bomb and I make a fail. You know, it's not a bomb in France, in Grenade.
It's
A grenade.
A grenade. Easy.
Yes.
So, and I just want to open it and I make a fail.
Yeah.
So the grenade just fall between my leg and I saw my friend. In the headset, I just moved my head and I saw my friend, and the character of my friend said, just that. I feel more than a word, more than a sound. That was the context, the situation. That was very funny. Not only because we are playing to the video game and I failed with my bomb, no. Because I feel that my friend saw me as a noob in a new video game and just realized that, oh God, this noob. This situation, this context changed everything. I think for me, metaverse will be also a question of inclusion, yes, but also of immersion. It's not just a video game. We have World of Warcraft and we have a lot of very good video games that you can spend your time with a community. But we need to go a bit further. We need to interact. We need to feel other people more than a hangout call, or we need really to interact with non-language talk, it's called the non-verbal things. That will be the different, and I think we can communicate with the different technology today, but also with value that's now able by blockchain thing and tokenization, etc.
So you mentioned different technology. That's my next question for the panel here. So Fabrice and David, you jump in, whoever wants to add here. We talk about tools, right? And we have a lot of builders here in the room, a lot of founders aspiring to build great companies on Elrond, on Multiverse X. So what are the tools available, either by Binance or by Ledger or by the ecosystem, that can help developers, try to build something in the metaverse?
Do you go first?
No, go ahead.
So on our end, what we provide, and one of my colleagues just earlier said it, it's really we're trying to give any developers, whether it is on Elrond or in any blockchain, the capacity to leverage Ledger technology to build whatever they want. That's really the guiding principle. We're not here to restrict or to judge which project is valid or is not. And so it might be a video game or something VR related where at some point Ledger technology will be involved. I'd love that, but there are use cases that are not really linked to video games, like you talked about social networks. A decentralized social network where you can actually own your data, maybe not all your tweets, but maybe just, we already know about profile pictures, but it could be much more, like my list of friends. Secured by Ledger would be something interesting. So what we do is we provide a set of tools through a dev portal and a lot of different APIs that you can use to actually try stuff and build something. Now, what will you build? Honestly, it's not up to me to say. It's really to the builders to actually try something. And we'll see what results. But to me, what I get from these discussions around the metaverse is a branch of people are really into this virtual reality thing, which honestly I'd love to see, just because I'm a fan of the movie. But I also think that Ready Player One is just one way to look at it. A decentralized social network with a flat screen on your mobile phone, like you're doing today, is just as much a metaverse as a virtual world would be, as long as it's interconnected with other services. So I want to be able to have my identity on a decentralized Twitter and then reuse it in a virtual World of Warcraft-like video game. And the fact that it's all interoperable is really what makes it powerful. Ledger is not here to, needs to be here at every corner to be securing every single potential dApps, basically.
Understood. I believe you would like to expand?
There is a multiple frame where Binance operate. The first one is the most evident one on the exchange. Most of the biggest metaverse inside Binance are represented inside Binance. Decentraland, Elrond, and all those elements are tokens that you can acquire, and you can play the game of liquidity on this. We have one of the biggest liquidity. It helps the project to expand. This is the first panel. The second panel is more derivative. Is about the technologies that we put on top. Trust Wallet, BNB Chain, all those kind of ecosystems that we help and that we also own, and Trust Wallet is open source technology. So they are reusable and they are compatible with not only BNB Chain, but a whole mainframe of Explorer. And after there is the accompaniment to the startup, which is for me a little bit the problem of French people. French people will try to go always on the third axis, where basically you're going to have it if you complete the first two missions in a way. You cannot come and say, I have an idea I want to discuss with you. No. You have to have an ID. You have to have a good execution. You have to have a good team. You have to have a good community. You have to have a whole round set of parameters that on the checklist shows that actually it's the right people with the right ID, with the right mind, at the right moment that are in front of us. And this is something that is key. To make that happen, you cannot just come with an ID. You have to come, compare, listen to your community, be an actor of community, etc., to be there. So, for me, we, as an actor of the ecosystem, also gave an impact. When we came to France, a lot of VC, a lot of element looked at company in France, not only us, but a lot of other VCs, Switzerland VCs that didn't use to invest into Parisian startup, decided to go there and decided to implement themselves. We saw some case in Station F. So we have this indirect and direct approach to it.
Amazing. I believe that there's actually a number of projects within the Elrond Multiverse X ecosystem who are either in the first stages of building a metaverse and are making land sales and are really trying to build something important and creative. And yeah, hopefully one day these will be able to integrate with Ledger and have their users' assets in a secure way. One day maybe they will join one of your incubators, or they will come say hi. Maybe one day be listed on Binance, we never know. And obviously, Asher, if you could educate people about these projects and what goes on in the metaverse here in France, I believe the whole community will appreciate. So, Fabrice, thank you so much. David, amazing, great stuff. Owen, great. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Right, good stuff. Nice. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you. Thank you.
Every single bit of life, everything we've ever known, and everyone we've ever met, all started from a single point. A speck, a flicker, a single cell of life. But what is life, if but a brief, stubborn wonder? A dim light, a spark at times, pointing to an ever larger scope and scale, about to expand to a new world, one founded and sustained by the bursting force of imagination. This world we now call the metaverse. Could we at once capture the essence of a universe encompassing the entire observable cosmos, but also the metaverse encompassing myriad digital realms, rearranging them with one word, not as opposites or replacements, but as a harmonious, expanding, complementary whole? We believe we can and must. This we call the multiverse. It is said, in the beginning, there was a word of such strength and vigor that it could sharply set a rare creation moment in motion. The beginning of a vast world of worlds. The opening of a portal between worlds and the forging of the very fabric securing it all. This is our new challenge, our new vision, our expansion and transformation. This new dawn we call Multiverse X.